Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is hautemesstom and thank you so much for clicking on this video. If you are new here, my channel is all about loving my collection as it currently is, being critical of new makeup releases, and being very considerate about what we're deciding to bring into our collection. Today's video is really gonna follow that first thing we were doing, loving my collection as it currently is. I have been very inspired by one particular palette that is about to be released. It's from Glaminatrix Cosmetics. It's called their Nocturnal Palette. I will post, videos and evidence of this palette coming out. I don't know when it's going to come out, but I did talk about it in a new makeup releases video, which I call Critical Sass on my channel. So if you're interested in that, I will link that down below so you can hear my thoughts and opinions on some new releases. If you decide that you vibe with me and want to spend some more time with me, that's a good place to do it. Beyond this video. In the great tradition of two of my favorite fellow YouTubers, Lauren May Beauty and Hannah Louise Poston, I'm going to be duping the vibe of this palette. I've already duped the vibes, obviously. You haven't seen me do that, but this eye look is created with the shadows that I picked from my singles collection to make my duping the vibes palette. Now, I want you to know before we head into the footage of me choosing out these shades that I was not going shade for shade because Glaminatrix hasn't released all of the shades yet, or they might by the time I have this video up, but as of right now they only have 9 of the 10 shades. However, I was really going vibe-wise because I really liked the grungy tones of it, and I also have a lot of grungy tones in my collection already. And there were a couple shades in the Glaminatrix palette that I didn't really care for. Not that they aren't beautiful, but I'm not really big on teal, so there was a couple teal shades. So I essentially took inspiration from the Glaminatrix Nocturnal Palette and I twisted it on its head, and then I created my own palette. And so basically what you're going to be watching today is me picking out all of the eyeshadows that I put in my palette, and then you're going to see me do the application of this eye look, and then that's it. That's the whole video. So I will probably put the links down below, the chapters down below, if you want to see me picking out the eyeshadows or you want to see me just doing the application. Whatever you're into, go ahead and check that out. But I'm basically using this video as a friendly reminder to you and myself that I have a lot of beautiful things in my collection, and I'm sure that you have a lot of beautiful things in your collection. Even if you don't have a big collection, I'm sure you have a lot of beautiful things that you can really take an eye, and whenever something new is being released, you can look at your collection and be like, now, I'm inspired by that thing, but do I have that thing or something similar to that thing in my collection? And that's essentially what I did with my single shades or my pans that are removable from eyeshadows. So I'm really excited to actually play with the eyeshadow palette I made some more. So I'm gonna cut to that footage for you right now, and then you'll see me in this look all the way at the end again. But yeah, have fun watching the video. Enjoy. As I said in my intro, I really do not have any plans to directly dupe it, but I have this pulled up as reference. So I definitely want to I'm thinking obviously grungy. I'm inspired by this, but I don't really love the teals in it. So I might opt for something else. I might do more shadows. I might do less shadows. I'm just, gonna see what feels good to me, as far as that goes. So I'm going to do here. This is the palette I have. Well, ironically, I do think it is the same one that Hannah Louise Poston has, or very close, but did not do that on purpose. Did not buy this because of Hannah. Just, it is a magnetic palette I happened to get my hands on. Anyway, I just cleaned it out. That's why it's a little bit damp. So what I'm gonna do is go through all of my palettes that have removable pans and all of my single shadows and just pull some grungy things that I think are inspiring. So I'm probably just gonna zoom you through that. It'll all be happening on camera, but I won't be talking at all through that. So here I go. So I don't have as like, well, I didn't pick out as bright as shimmers. I really wanted to create like my own kind of like dream grungy palette. Now, I don't know, one, I don't think all of these would fit in here. However, I just want to like swatch some things, see after I swatch them how I'm feeling about them. I'm gonna zoom you out. You're gonna see some stuff. You're gonna see some stuff. I'm gonna zoom you back in just like a little bit. But anyway, so the plan here is to just swatch some things. I'll tell you what palettes that they're from, and then we'll go from there to see like what I'm vibing with. So I'm gonna like, I saw Hannah Louise Poston do this, and she kind of like organized things by like the what they fulfill in the palette. I think that's a really good way to start. So I'm gonna just do that. I'm gonna try not to stick my nails in them as I have been this whole time. Here I have things divided out just like a little bit better. So I have like my mustardy section, my like pop of pink section, my like greens. I did pull a lot of teals, so maybe I was feeling more inspired by that. But I also was feeling like fiery oranges too. And then I have two like shimmery cream-ish shades. And then down here I have like purple leaning situations. And then I obviously have this very special Cleona shade. This is the shade Gloaming, and it has a shift. Hopefully you can see it. It's like a pink to green shift. It is out of this world, something else, but it is more like a topper. And so I thought that would be really good in the palette, just as like to lighten things up, because this is quite of a dense color story. So I only really see myself using it as a topper, not really like the star of the show, but like, I mean, come on, just like look at how shiny it is. Look at how shiny everything is. Ooh, okay, so I think that one's for sure gonna go in. Let's start with this little section. All right, so this is from the Coral palette. This also kind of functions as a topper. This is from the Natasha Denona 28 pan blue purple, which is like a very beautiful shifty shade. This is Craving from Cleona. This is Bloodline from Cleona. Just before I even swatch them, I feel like I could already make some cuts. I really do think that I like this shade from the purple palette. I think that's a good contender. While this is a topper, I don't think I need two toppers in this palette, so I'm going to set this one aside to put back. And then between these two, they're not really serving the same purpose, the two Cleona shades. But I kind of like this one as a topper, and that was the shade Carving. It's Carving. I think I said Craving earlier. And I don't think this fits my fantasy for this palette, so I'm just going to set that aside. I should have started with the mattes, but here we are. And then I also pulled out this. This was a shade that whenever I was doing my project in December that I really liked using from the Natasha Denona 28 pan green palette. And that's like the most beautiful grungy little silver. So I'm gonna set that one aside to be in the palette because I just know I want it there. So then I got some like grungy reds. I don't know how this one, I'm gonna move that up there. So I have a couple different things. This is from Cleona. This is the shade Sandblast. This is the shade Forge from Cleona. This is from the Natasha Denona Coral palette, which is like just a fiery red. I went the wrong way. So this is like a beautiful multi-chrome, and it definitely has like the red, but still has like the green shift. It's probably not gonna pick up all the way on here with the lighting I have. No, I think I'm gonna keep Forge, set that aside. I think I'm also gonna keep the shade Sandblast for now. Well, I'm gonna put it in that maybe pile, but I do think the Coral palette I think that's that on that. Should I just keep going with the shimmers? Okay, so I have 3 matte bluey teal shades, and then I also have 4-ish shimmers. This is Aristocat from the Nocturnal Antiquities palette. This is from the Dark Edit from Viseart. I'm sure it has a name, but I do not know it. Oh no. This is from my, this one's from my Grand Pro one. This one is from the Dark Edit from Viseart. Ooh. Okay. So there they are on my fingers. I really like this navy, but I feel like it's not fulfilling like the grunge fantasy, but I think I like it. I think I like it. And I also think I like this gray. I just misspoke. These 2 mattes are from the Viseart Grand Pro one. As I was just saying, I'm gonna pass on this one. It's fine, but it's not as like dark as I really wanted. Okay, and so then let's play with these shimmery green blues. This one is from the Natasha Denona 28 pan green. This is from Metropolis. This is from the gold palette, and if I'm correct, this one's more of like a topper. Oh, I don't know, it looks really, oh, pretty. And then this is the shade Forbidden. Wait, this is the shade Forbidden, which is from Colored Rain when they still did singles. And this is, so this one's, ooh. Okay, let me swatch these on my arm. Now that I'm looking at these swatches, I'm gonna forgo the one from the Metropolis palette. I don't think I've ever really used this Colored Rain one, so I think I'm gonna put it in the palette. And I also really like this one from Natasha Denona. This is from the gold palette. I'm gonna put it in the maybes for now. These are like my greeny ones that I had pulled out. This is the shade Weld from Cleona. This is the shade Corrosion from Cleona, and this is a shade that I know I really like. Ooh. This is from, it's from a Natasha Denona palette, but now I could not tell you which one. But I think it's from the gold, maybe it's from the gold palette? I actually have no idea, but this is a Natasha Denona. Anyway, that's what I was saying before my light went out. This is from the, this is a Natasha Denona shade. This is from Viseart's The Dark Mattes. Oh, okay. In the shift in the, it looks more grungy in camera than I feel like it does in real life. Like the green shift is almost like, just like not serving the grunginess for me. But I think I really want this one in there just like as a topper. And then I actually really like this gold and I like this green. I think all of these, minus the one I just moved to the side, are good contenders. And then I also have this green from the Metropolis palette from Natasha Denona. Doing this causes me a little bit of stress, by the way, just in case anyone was curious. But this one is a cream shade from Natasha Denona. I really like the murkiness of that. And I think these will blend each other out very well. So I think I'm gonna put that in the good, we like her. The rest of it here is a little bit of a mishmash of things that I was like just inspired by. I can zoom you in. This is from the Metropolis palette from Natasha Denona. This is from a Kevin Aquan palette that my friend Lena gave me. This is a Lethal shade from the Lethal is Dead palette. And then this is the shade Tokyo from Sugar Pill. And so I have 2 pinks from Sugar Pill, but that one definitely felt grungier. But now with all of these, next to all of this, it doesn't feel grungy at all. So there's the Metropolis. There's the Kevin Aquan shade. The Teresa's Dead shade. And then Tokyo. Okay, I'm gonna put the Teresa's Dead matte in there for sure. And I kind of like this because it's like a cool toned grungy shade. And I feel like we have a lot of this from the Metropolis palette, and then the Tokyo is like just too pink. So, okay. We're making our cuts. Okay, so we only have 3 shades, and they're like yellow leaning. This is like a yellow leaning brown from the Metropolis palette. Oh, this is from the Gold palette from Natasha Denona. And then this is the shade Gas Lamp from Noctex. Alright, that's what we have going on. These two shades are pretty close. They're not exact dupes, but I would rather have the powder than the cream formula from Natasha Denona. So I'm going to set that aside, and then I think I'm going to put both of these on my palette because I like the way they look. Let me get myself cleaned off here. What I'm going to do is put all of the shades that I definitely want in here, and see where that leaves us as far as spacing goes. And I'm sorry to anyone who gets really peeved off about size differences in palettes, but that's like the nature of the beast. When you're making your own custom palette, there's gonna be some circles. There are gonna be some squares. I do have some room. So what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add Sandblast back in. It was a shade that I was kind of like meh on. I'm also gonna add the shade Carving in here. And then I'm gonna forgo this shade from the Gold palette. As you can see, these are like obviously not the same exact shades from the Glaminatrix palette, but I feel like it is grungy. It is like my collection too, so I think I can do a lot with this, and so I think this will be a lot of fun for me to play with. I have some options. We can definitely go reddish, or we can play with the reds and the greens. We have some like mustardy yellows, and so it's 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. This is an 18 pan palette. I'm gonna swatch this on my arm. I'm gonna zoom you out. So I'm gonna play some delightful little music for you while I swatch this out. Oh my goodness, I don't have enough arm space. So maybe I didn't do the best job of editing, but that is something that I know about myself. I'm gonna just add these along the side. Now that I'm looking at them, I kind of actually love everything but the two shades that I just swatched on the side. So I'm gonna actually just remove these two because I just don't feel like they have a place here. Looking at this feels very grungy, gurky, murky. I'm very inspired by it. So let's put on an eye look and see what happens. And let's discuss this top just really quick. If you may have remembered if you watched the project formerly known as Messmas, that I said that an Instagram ad got me as far as clothing goes. And so it's been a real kerfuffle because I clearly don't think that this brand is a real brand. At first they sent me the wrong one thing, and it was none of the things that I had ordered. And then they sent me one of the 7 things I had ordered, but they said that they had shipped the rest, but I only got one thing. Anyway, I'm in a PayPal dispute. If you know of a brand, like a real brand, that carries fun, quirky, kind of androgynous, cutout-y clothing that's reliable and a real brand, and I'm willing to pay not the most money, but money on these clothes. So if you can let NB know, that would be helpful. So here's the palette we just made. Ooh, sparkly. I'm gonna play with it. Let's do it together. I was thinking that I would do that eye shape that I really love, and do that. I'm gonna zoom you in, which we don't normally do. We don't normally do this. We're not normally this close. I am notoriously, really famously someone who moves around a lot as I put on my makeup. Famously. Everybody knows. I'm gonna prime my eyes with the MAC Paint Pot in Painterly. I'm nervous to play with this palette I just made. I don't think I'm really good at a color story moment. I don't think that I'm really good at putting them together. I was if it's green, it's in. And then I was but what about red? And then I realized kind of making a grungy Christmas palette, which Glaminatrix, well, it wasn't grungy, but Glaminatrix did do a Christmas palette. My palette doesn't even look that one did. So it's gonna be fun and flirty. We're gonna really figure this out together. And then I'm gonna set that with the Laura Mercier translucent setting powder. I want to do the eye shape like my signature, and I say it with air quotes because it's not really my signature eye shape, but it is like an eye shape that I very much do often. So it's like bigger, bolder, better. The reason I want to do that one is because I want to make a lot of space for shimmer, because there's a lot of like beautiful shimmering moments happening here that I would like to try to get at least more than one, but if not more. The first shade I'm going to use is this yellow shade from the gold palette from Natasha Denona, and I'm going to start building out the shape. Sorry about the change in brightness, but I was having a little bit of trouble seeing everything, so the next thing I'm going to do is to take, I believe this shade was called Gas Lamp, and this is from the Noctex Antiquities palette. I'm just going to put that a little bit lower. Nope, I lied. That was not the move. I'm going to take this green. This green, this is from the Viseart Dark Edit palette. And take that just a little bit below. Slowly but surely transitioning it and then deepening it as we get closer to the eye. Ooh. Next, I'm going to take this cream to powder shade, which is from the Natasha Denona Metropolis palette. Wow, I'm really testing myself. So I'm going to grab a bit of a denser brush because it is a cream. You need a little bit of that. And I'm actually just going to focus it like right here and then blend it both ways. And you know what? Being brave and bold, as I always am, I'm going to take this, it's like a slate gray blue shade, and I'm actually going to add to that just a skosh. Because I'm not getting the depth on that green that I want. And this shade is from the Viseart Grand Pro Volume 1X, in case you're curious. Next thing I'm going to do is take the green from the Natasha Denona palette and stamp it and meet the wing on the end here. Still leaving plenty of space, because all this dead space is where I want shimmer to go. And the reason I like this bigger shape for me, one is I don't have eyebrows, so I feel like when I build a look this big, I'm kind of like building in eyebrows. I don't normally paint my eyebrows. If you're new here, like, I don't normally paint eyebrows on because I just don't want them. I think it gives me more of like a little bit of an editorial look, and I like that for me. And then I'm gonna also take that blue and just stamp it in between. Basically, I just excluded teal from this palette, but then made my own teal is really what's going on. So maybe I did need a teal. Well, honestly, it's all good. So anyway, as I was saying, I have very heavy brow bone and I have hooded eyes to boot. So when I rest my eyes, like fully rest my eyes, like I have no lid space. However, I'm very expressive when I talk. So when I build a shape this big, I'm kind of like giving myself the room to grow. But I do think I'm gonna take some micellar water and carve out just a little bit bigger of an arch, because that's what I want to do. I'm going to be using the Drunk Elephant micellar water. This was something I received in gratis while working at Sephora. So I'm going to be utilizing this. This is the Intensifies from Pat McGrath. And I'm just going to put it in that empty, devoid space we just created. And then I'm going to take this shade, which I forget the name of, from Cleona, and I'm just going to put that all up in there for the most part, leaving the inner corner open. Cool. And then on the inner corner, I'm going to take this shade from Cleona, which I will pop the name up on the screen. I told you them while I was pulling them, but I've forgotten them already, the names. If you're new here, I'm sorry to tell you that I really don't care about shade names. Really at all. So I often just don't talk about the shade names. And so I'm just going to do some blending between those two to give it a little more of a seamless look. I'm digging that. All right, I'm going to do that same thing to the other eye. And I think that I want to take this topper shade, and I'm going to use a very, very fluffy, very, very loosely packed brush. And I'm going to sweep that kind of all over the whole damn thing. Oh, that's a move. Oh, that's a move. Does it ever just feel so good? Does it ever just feel so good to put on makeup? Oh my goodness. I want to keep going, but I know I shouldn't. But I'm just gonna do a little bit. Just a little bit. Okay. So here's the eye look. I'm gonna do the rest of my makeup and then we will wrap this up. All right, this is the final look. What do you think? Oats. Felt. Wow. I feel really good, feeling really inspired, feeling gorgeous. If you enjoyed today's video, I would love to have you subscribe. Wouldn't that be fun for both of us if you just subscribed? We had a good time today. I would love to have you join the party. Don't forget to like this video before you leave today. And I'm also on Patreon if you want to support me there. Now, my Patreon is growing and morphing. When I say growing, I don't really mean people numbers wise, but it could if you wanted to join. Sorry, I'm not really trying to be pushy. But however, I have decided that I'm going to give updates kind of more in real time on my Patreon. So for example, as I'm figuring things out or as I'm taking pictures and for things that are coming down the pipeline, that's that's a good place to get a head start if you want to know. If you see something that I've bought that I haven't fully reviewed on the channel yet in any kind of capacity, that's a good place to figure out my thoughts in real time. Obviously they're happening on this channel too, but last night I posted a photo and I was like, which eye did I use the thing on? And sort of playing that kind of game. So please check out my Patreon, but also no pressure to check out my Patreon. It's just there in case you want to support me there. And remember to follow your haute and you will find me. I appreciate you so much for watching this video. I will see you in my next video. Bye, friends. Whoa, whoa, oh, whoa.